Welcome to NHRD Pune YouTube channel. After a short break, I'm Neena Kamal back with a new episode of Peoplepoint. What if life throws challenges after challenges at you, but you find new ways of winning over those challenges all around you? Today's our guest is an inspiration, a role model, and a person many look up to. Please welcome Mr. Rajesh Mehta, podcast manager for APAC region with IBM. Rajesh is a TIS alumni. He is a seasoned HR and training professional. He is a talented musician. He is a swimmer. He is a marathoner, and the list just goes on. Rajesh has found ways to make his life a celebration by connecting different dots of his interests and creating this beautiful picture, which has become an inspiration to many of us. As a creator of hundreds of podcasts for employee learnings, Rajesh has a mastery over new age employee development. Today, we are going to talk to Rajesh about this topic, and we are super excited to welcome him. Rajesh, welcome to People Point, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure is on mine, Nina. Thank you so very much for having me here. And I don't know, what to say, but you have just left me speechless reading that, kind of such a generous introduction. Thank you.
Well deserved one, Rajesh. And let's start talking about employee development. Um, Rajesh, you are this podcast manager, and I'm so interested to know more about the work you do. Uh, let's start with the first question. How can HR people partner with employees in developing employee skill set? What's your views on that?
So, let me just probably take a step back and let me, kind of add something, than just a podcast manager or me being creating a podcast, for internal IBM usage. Um, it's been a 18 plus years journey for me in IBM, and out of 18 years, I have spent almost 14 plus years with learning and development. Now, to be very frank, I, really leave that particular statement that learning is a developmental. The words that we are using past couple of years, skill, reskill, unskill, you know, those are actually becoming so very truth now. If you look at the power of the technology that we have been embracing last couple of years, it's just a fantastic time for learning professionals. And I wouldn't mind being, kind of saying this, that somewhere a couple of years ago we used to say that why HR do not get a chair into the onto the boards. But now I won't be afraid even to say that why learning would not get that particular required share or a chair onto the board. Because I think the true HR partner for any business, if needs to come through, definitely come through first through the talent acquisition role, and then of course through the learning and development. Because I think if learning partner needs to, kind of envisage its, the true power, that that's the, power of the entire human resource. So in short, Nina, probably I can say that learning has become a true business partner, maybe an employee partner, and overall, the industry partner.
Very well said. Very well said. Rajesh, if you can take a couple of minutes to share how your own journey as a professional um, and how what impact it has created, in your different roles and in your career, if you can just share with us.
Sure. Thank you, Nina. Very nice question. And you're just, kind of making me nostalgic. So thank you for doing that. When I joined organization right after my MBA from campus, um, one of my beloved mentor, coach, or maybe a leader told me that Rajesh, never become a kind of ice onto the water, rather become a complete water onto the river flow or a ocean flow. And that time, it made me thinking, saying that why he is referring or giving me the reference of ice versus the water, but which truly, when I look back now, 20 years journey or 18 years journey to be very precise, I completely kind of see through it. That if you actually start looking your each of the role learning, I mean, in my case, where I performed, the first one was campus hiring, then I got into the university relations. From there, I was a leadership trainer for almost 14 years. Then last couple of years, I was kind of living the life of podcast manager, where I created multiple kind of channels, and so much of information for the kind of people, and not just creating the information, but I actually probably look through that how those people may like to imbibe those information, because giving information is very easy, Nina, but the way people may digest, look into that particular structure is very, very important. So coming back to your question, I think every day is a learning, and I often say that without learning there is no earning. So as we rightly said, that the skill is the new currency, data is the new oil of this particular century. So I mean, we really need to kind of execute towards those particular thought process, because to be very frank, I was just reading the few of the statistical data. The World Economic Forum says that by 2025, or max to max by 2030, 61 percentage of total population worldwide would require to go through either reskilling or a up training. So you can well imagine the position of learning and development department, and whereby even the individual as a professional. So I, to be very frank, kind of take it every day as a new learning, and end of the day I actually kind of do write back, saying that okay, this is what I actually learned, and from there on my next morning starts, where I again set up a new goal, saying that okay, here I reached this much, and I need to break that, or maybe I need to improve where I was. So I think every day is a new learning, every day is a new beginning, and I think small chunk, the small incidents, even this conversation that I'm having with you, is nothing lesser than a learning opportunity for myself.
For me too, Rajesh. In fact, I feel that many a times when people say that this skill is difficult to learn or this change is difficult to accept, when they have someone like you who has taken on so many different changes and learned at so many different levels, I'm sure that itself is a big inspiration for them.
I mean, what is the meaning of difficult? I really don't understand.
I'm sure
Because
you don't.
no, I mean, or probably I would say that I need to be taught what do you mean by difficult.
Difficult.
Because
Very
see,
true.
I'll tell you something. When we say that this is difficult, actually it's not difficult. It's rather more interesting, it's more exciting. Remember those puzzling games that we used to solve when we were just, toddler, or maybe 5, 6 years, 7 years old? And how much, we used to get so very driven with those, curiosity, right? So I believe that curiosity, if that exists even today in me, or maybe if I want to be, kind of somewhere with the, kind of world, then I think I need to be curious. and I need to be, kind of solving those puzzles, and puzzle is nothing but the difficulty. And I think that's where the fun lies, according to me, Nina.
Very well said. Fantastically said, Rajesh. I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
So, tell me, in your opinion, how has the skills landscape changed over the last few years?
Oh my God. It is exactly the way my black hair turned into, different color or beautiful white shade. So, I mean, I never knew that with my changing color of the hair, even the landscape of the skills, landscape of the L&D professions, would change so much. So I must tell you, when I joined the corporate world, learning was known as a honeymoon period. I'll be very honest.
Absolutely. I remember that time.
And you know what? Many of us who joined maybe 15, 20 years back, the moment we used to get invited for the learning, instead of looking at the content of the agenda, the first I used to go on to the what is the desert
Where is the venue? What is
and where is the value, right? So,
yes,
and then, I still remember when we started bringing all the learning in house, into the training room, how much we had to, kind of undergo those you and cry by the people, right? But how difficult it was even to convince people that learning is nothing about those, kind of free meals or enjoyment, but it's all about, kind of looking at how do we actually reflect and how do we take, the step forward. The next phase came in when we started, kind of giving away from those notepads and pen, and everything started becoming online. I still remember, I cannot forget when we introduced the first technological, kind of innovation or a whatever. Yeah, it was innovation where we, started conducting the training through the online. I mean, it was so very one-sided. It rather, it never felt that it was a training. It only sounded like it was something like a speech or a monologue. But then, if you look at the way the entire space picked up the speed, and especially thanks to COVID, and the way people embraced now hybrid model, right? Because if you look at now, I mean, I will not be surprised that instead of a trainer, if some robotic or a AI machine is actually coming and teaching me, and which indeed they are, right? So then where are we? If you look at the entire, the skill set required by the L&D professional is actually beyond the imagination now. If you look at the way people are grasping the learning, is so very personalized.
very true.
It's so very micro learning. In fact, the blended learning solutions has become so very reality now, rather than just it used to be just a kind of agenda slide or maybe a glossy slide, right? In fact, now L&D professional has actually picked up the role of learning analytics, or a learning analyst, right? The way we used to have the behavioral analyst or a business analyst, learning professional needs to look into the how employee would be actually grasping, those personalized or learning more personally, right? In fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and he was telling me couple of years back, learning through any technical, stuff used to be so very boring, but now the same thing, could be done so very interestingly with the gamification coming in, so very, kind of design thinking approaches coming in, so persona could be, word, etc., etc. So what I'm trying to say is that with this generative AI coming in, with the technological, I would say, the flood coming in, I think L&D professional are actually sitting on a very, very, uh, brownie point, according to me.
True, very true. So, along with the landscape, then the next question is that what are the competencies which are becoming now crucial, and what should our young generation keep in mind when they look at their progression? What skills should they focus on?
It's a very interesting question. And in fact, do I have an answer for that? Probably not. Because though we say that skill is a currency, the way everything is changing, it's like I sleep with some satisfaction today, but by the time the sun rises, everything, kind of vanishes. That's fast. Now, if I probably say that, yeah, data science, the um, quantitative, computing, etc., are the new currencies or a new skill set to look at. Probably another 2, 3 years, 4 years, you never know that Chat GPT may disrupt everything of this,
Very true.
right? So, my, according to me, if you ask me, the biggest skill set that anybody may like to have is the water of the river or a ocean rather than becoming an ice of the glass or a tray. And what do I mean by that? Being adaptive, right? Being, kind of resilient, right? Ready to learn. Never ever say that, okay, I have spent maybe 15 years in, kind of learning why I cannot, kind of step into the project management or, absolutely some different, kind of skill set. I think now the avenues are so multifaceted, so very multiplying that if you want to even, kind of make your passion, kind of align with your professions, I mean, you know it, Nina, kind of when we probably started our career, probably, kind of the cooking career or maybe musical career. I mean, the artist career. I still remember, kind of one of the artists, a friend of mine, telling me, while he was flying somewhere, the person kept asking, "What do you do for your profession?" And he kept saying, "I'm an artist. I'm an artist." And he was like, "But what do you do for your bread and butter?" And he was like, "I'm an artist, and that's what brings me my bread and butter." Right? So today, I think we are living in a very, very different world. I think if you know how to sell yourself,
Very
if
true.
you know how you can actually make an impact through what you are doing, I think that can actually become the huge industry itself.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I absolutely agree with you, Rajesh. I think openness of your mind and ability to learn new things, these are going to be absolutely crucial things in coming days. They are crucial right now, but I think every day, as you rightly said, the fluidity of our mind and openness to learn new things is going to be more and more crucial now.
In fact, if I may probably, kind of just summarize, saying that there is also fear, saying that what may happen with this generative AI or a chat GPT or with this technology disruption, what may happen to the support function? I would say that, the human emotions, the empathy can never ever be replaced, right? So if you are in a human resource professions, and if you really want to bring that particular nuances through the, kind of behavioral conversation, trust me, the learning could be repetitive, could be duplicated, could be, done by any of those robotic or a AI, or a artificial intelligent mode. But trust me, the engagement what you can bring in, heart to heart, what you can bring in can never ever be replaced.
Fantastic, fantastic words, Rajesh. Rajesh, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. I'm sure our viewers will really love to hear what you have said about employee development. Uh, any thoughts before we close today's conversation?
So, thank you so very much, Nina, once again for having me here. One thing is very, very clear, though I may say that technological disruptions will keep coming. Entire industry may go through the quite a lot changes. We also may require to be, those change agent, and more than change agent, the change agent starts from our own self. One thing is very, very clear that we need to become far more competitive, far more collaborative, and far more humanistic. The moment we become these three, competitive, collaborative, and humanistic, trust me, you're on the top of the any Himalaya or a Everest mountain. And then, even though you may not follow the success, there will be a beautiful cartoon called success will keep on following you. That's all.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you so much. And I actually want to thank Aman for, introducing us.
Aman is a great person, between us and in fact between many of the people. Aman is a NHRD Pune chapter president. Of course, all the listeners, I'm sure you know him very well. All right, so take care, Nina, and thank you everyone for hearing us out, listening, so very passionately.
Thank you, Rajesh, and thank you to our audience. Please keep supporting People Point, share your suggestions, and let's hope that we can do this more often. Thank you.